Hey, welcome to part two of this lab series. And today we are going to create a container registry. So in this lab, we will create a container registry by using the Azure CLI and the portal. Build container images by using Azure Container Registry tools. Verify container images in Azure Container Registry and configure our AKS cluster to authenticate to our Azure Container Registry. What I have in front of us is the command line way to create the registry. You can see we have a new variable here, and here's the command to actually create the registry. If you missed the first lab, our values being used are right here, or at least ones I'm using. Of course, if you're using different ones, obviously keep using those so the command works. But like I said previously in the lab, where it makes the most sense, I'm going to provide you with the command line way and then do it also the portal way. So here's a command to do it the command line way. Let's go in the portal here and actually create it using the portal. So I'm going to click on add here. And I'm going to say container register container. I can spell container. C-O-N-T-A-I-N. There we go. And here's some information you can read about what a Azure Container Registry is. And you see it's a private registry for hosting container images. Using the Azure Container Registry, you can store Docker format images for all types of container deployments, including Kubernetes. Pretty good. All right, so we're going to click on Create. A little slow there. All right, and it has our resource group correct, our registry name. We're going to call it AKS Lab 2. What did I say I was going to call it? Underscore ACR. May contain alpha. Oh, looks like you can't have a. Oh, what's wrong? Original names must contain alphanumeric characters and only must be between 5 and 20 characters. So it's saying it doesn't like my underscore? Huh, interesting. All right, so let's go ahead and change this to ACR. Oh, maybe I can do a dash. Let's see, can I do a dash? Nope. So I'm going to put it in East US 2 and the standard one. And let's go on to networking. Nothing to do, change anything there. Encryption we'll leave alone. Review and create. Say create. Excellent, it was finished, and we'll go to our resource group. Okay, our next step is to clone a repository. The repository will have some files we need for our lab, and you might say, what is cloning a repository? Well, when you create when you clone a repository, we're going to get it from GitHub, and when you do this, it pulls down a full copy of the repository data that GitHub has at that point in time, including all versions of every file. So basically, we're going to be taking a copy that's in a remote location and copying it to locally. So let's see how we do this. And we're going to do this here in our PowerShell. Now, for this to work in this ISE environment, you do need to have downloaded the Git. Let's see if I can find it real fast. Stuff. I really thought I'd be in here. Maybe it's not on this machine. Let's see. Let's try the command and see what happens. Oh, here we go. That's probably in here. Yeah, here we go. So here is the setup, and it creates the exe for you. So that's what you need for this to work. If you're using the Cloud Shell, it will just work. All right, because a GitHub repository that has a lot of the files that we want to use, that we're going to use in our lab series. And here is the command to clone. This is the repository. I can't say that word very well. So we want to clone, and here's git. And if you're using the Cloud Shell, it has git built in. If you're not using the Cloud Shell, you will need to install git. Just Google and you'll find it. Now when I run this command, it's going to install the files, whatever folder I have here. So I want to change this to cd, I think it's this stuff. Make directory lab 2. And here we go. So now if I do a dir now, I see all these files, and they're local to my machine, which is quite excellent. See, we have a nice little Docker file in there. A couple nice files in there. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to take these files and put them in our registry up here. So if I do a refresh, here is my container registry. And right now, it's empty. I go here. See, I don't have anything. But that will soon change. So I come over here. All right, so to do that, we're going to do ACR build resource group $ resource group registry $ arc name and the image ratings dash API colon v1, and we need a dot. And you might be saying to yourself, what's that dot for? Well, that's telling this command to look in the current directory for a Docker file. And I'm not totally sure if I have, since I'm doing a lot of stuff through the portal, I'm not sure if I have these defined. That one's not defined. And that was not defined. So let me come up here and say this. Whoops, forgot the dollar sign. And get my resource group defined. Okay, so now when I run this, I get my resource group, and I get that. So that's good. Let's clear our screen and run this command. And again, what's going to happen is it's going to take the files in this folder, copy them up to our Azure, AKS Container Registry. All right, let's give it a shot. Oh, there we go. How about that? Try it again. This generally takes anywhere between 3 and 6 minutes. If you want to have a deeper understanding of what you just did, what you did was you now have the necessary files to create the container for the ratings API, which is step number B here. So 3B. Deploy the fruit smoothies RESTful API using deployment manifest. Now, we haven't deployed it yet. We're on step 2, but what we did was we put the manifest files needed to build this container or for this RESTful API. I lost my track what I just said. Well, what we did here so far, we copied the files into our Azure Container Registry so we could build this object here on step 3B. What we're going to do next is do the same process for 3C, the ratings web. And with this rating, this is the web front end, and it's going to allow the ratings API for the web front end connect to our database backend. So that's what you just did. You copy the necessary files to create this ratings API, which is going to be step 3B when we actually deploy it. Hope that makes a little more sense. So now what we want to do is the same exact step for that for the web object. So we're going to build the ratings web image. That should be the word I should be using, the image. Okay, so we will once again use our clone command. But this time, we're going to ratings, change this from API to web. So now we want the web. And we're in the right yep, we're good there. Actually, we want to go back one folder. So we're right there. So it's going to make one called ratings web for us. All right, so let's go get this. And now if we do a dir here, we should see 2 folders, but this is the web one that we want. Ratings dot web. And there's the files needed here, and here's our Docker file. So we're going to do the same exact process here that we did before, using this command as a starting spot. And we'll call this ratings-web version 1. And notice the dot local directory. I started the video again just so you can see what's going on. Don't worry about line 43 yet. That's a new line. That's how we're going to verify these images are in our registry. Okay, so it looks like that completed. So let's go see if we can see those images in our container. So here we go, run selection. And you can see, we see the 2 images. We can also see that via the portal way. If we do a refresh now, you can see we see the 2. And they're in kind of a, you don't really see files. You can see the format that it's in. Okay. And here's a Docker command if you wanted to go ahead and install it in Docker. So pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. Okay, the last step we need to do is to set up authentication between our container registry and our Kubernetes cluster. So we allow communication between these 2 services. And here's the command to do that. And I'm going to go ahead and run it. Okay, it looks like our command completed successfully. And then review, in this lab, we created a container registry for our fictitious company. We then built and added container images for the ratings API and the ratings web to the container registry. We then verified the container images and configured our cluster to authenticate to the container registry. The next part 3, we'll take our first step to deploying our ratings app. The first component we'll deploy is the MongoDB for our document store database. and then we'll see how to use the Helm Packet Manager for Kubernetes. Very exciting lab today, and I'll talk to you guys in the next lab.